Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America. Website thisweekinamerica.us. Great to have you with us on the program today. One of our favorite, most popular guests back to share his incredible journey through several lifetimes as far back as 1,000,000 years, his blunders and triumphs, and the many worlds and places where these amazing experiences took place. We're talking about Robert Maxxim. He experienced several sleep-time visits to other worlds as a child, witnessed countless alien craft. These experiences continue to date in both wake and sleep states. He studied concert piano starting at age 3, but changed his calling to science following his visionary experiences. The book series he's written is called Legacy. It's the culmination of these experiences shared with the world for the first time, and we'll talk about the Legacy series during the course of the program. Robert Maxxim back with us on This Week in America. Robert, great to have you back with us on the program. How are you today?
Feeling great. Thank you for having me back.
It is our pleasure to have you back with us, and we've got so many questions from viewers and listeners. I say viewers because if you go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, hit the YouTube icon, you can watch our past shows with Robert. You can also go to iTunes and listen to the past shows. If you have a question you would like us to direct to Robert, there's an area there where you can do comments and just put in your questions, and we'll continue to do that as we're talking to Robert. Some of the questions we'll go through quickly. These we've touched on during past shows, and we'll briefly go back through these, and we've got some new material to talk about. We had one from Albany, New York, a listener that wanted to know how this experience you had helps you understand the purpose of life, and do you believe in reincarnation? A couple of heavy topics there to start the program. With these experiences, does this give you a better handle on what's happening in life?
Well, originally reincarnation was foreign to me. Even though it was being shown to me, I didn't understand it. It was years later that I came to understand, well, yeah, that stuff is for real. And it's basically an experiential learning and correction type of life cycle between higher and a lower realm of existence. And it's designed to face past energies and evolve you away from them into a more positive level of experience. Matter of fact, during life, you transition to thoughts and emotions. That in itself is a type of mini reincarnation event, we might say, or a change in mental frequency domains. You're up one moment and down the next in much the same way as reincarnation. And reincarnation is a way to take you into, say, the scene of the crime, so you get to relive and understand what you did, focus on it, bias it positively, and then you can move on, and that way you progress. It's much like school. There is no such thing as live once. It's actually live many.
Well, and we have that in new questions that we'll get to, asking about past lives and that, and we will touch on that. It's a fascinating concept. I may mention as we go into the second question here, just very briefly as background, when you're a young man and you have this first experience, you didn't come out necessarily and embrace this. You actually fought it for a number of years. You have a scientific background. You have a scientific-oriented career. You really tried to disprove all of this over the years, haven't you?
Yeah, first of all, I didn't really understand everything I saw. It's like going to college as a kindergartner and coming out saying, what did they talk about? But eventually, through study, research, I was able to begin to prove a lot of what I had. Shockingly, I was able to prove it. I was trying to disprove it, but the opposite happened.
And again, if you go to the website, thisweekinamerica.us, you can link on to Robert's past shows, iTunes, video on YouTube, and catch up on all of that we've discussed in the past. Bluffton, Indiana, we've got a listener. Thoughts on your desire and our desire to travel to Mars?
Oh.
And whether or not you've actually, if you can give us a little insight, what we're going to find there, which is an interesting concept.
Well, I always wanted to go to Mars, and there was a reason why. I had lived there. We all have an old love affair with Mars from memories of acts we once committed really against it. It's not a pretty history. It will be in Legacy, episode 4. You can look forward to that. But basically, we're not really allowed to go there in large numbers or make contact until we prove competent in universal laws and are able to sustain a higher non-reactionary frequency domain. Now, if you look at past show, I showed some pictures taken by NASA on the surface of Mars that does show life forms on the surface. It does show that there's water, that there's trees, and there's people living underground. But that's something you could pick up a lot more from the Legacy book series if you're able to get a hold of a copy.
Yes, and you can do that by going to Roberto's website is very simple, rgaetan, RGAETAN.com. You can go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and link on directly to Robert's website. Or you can Google it. It's very simple. The book's available out there. Legacy episode series, 5 episodes, A Million-Year Romance, Past Lives, Space Battles, Intrigue, Atlantis, Interdimensional Scientific and Spiritual Principles. This is a novel series that 30 years in the making, and everything we read in there, we're reading it as for enjoyment. We're reading it for entertainment. Basically, this is your life here, isn't it? These are stories that you call with great clarity.
It is, and it's got everything. I held nothing back.
And you'll find that in the Legacy series. Moving on, it's interesting. I think what you were saying in the Mars, if I'm understanding correctly, and I'm slow at catching on to this whole concept, but I'm enjoying the journey as I try to. We're sort of holding ourselves back. This whole journey to Mars might be a little bit quicker, except what we as humans are holding ourselves back.
Yes, we are, by not playing a role in universal principle. See, we have been sort of deposited on this world so we can work out our own peace. We're not really allowed to be leaving this world, not until we're able to evolve out of what we are. It's pretty much like the old, not the rebooted version, but the old movie Planet of the Apes, where you have these astronauts that come back many years later, back to Earth. They land, and the planet is now taken over by apes, and they nearly get killed. So that's what we can expect to happen. We would be the apes going to another planet and causing havoc over there. So we're not really welcomed out there. Not until we evolve to the spiritual beings that we're supposed to be.
Robert Maxxim, our guest on This Week in America, Maxxim, talking about his book, The Legacy Series. We're talking about his real life experiences. His website is rgaetan, GAETAN.com. A letter, actually an email. People don't do letters anymore. It's emails. That shows you how old I am. I just gave away my age. From a listener in Denver, Colorado. Our government's keeping truths from us. What do they know, and will they ever share it with us?
They're keeping quite a bit. Captured aircraft, aliens, technology, information. A lot of the information we hear is true, but other conspiracy theories, of course, we should not follow after. The true spiritual brothers would never come among us until we've proven worthy by working out our negative tendencies. Now, Dr. Ernest Norman, who founded the Inarius teachings, George Adamski, and every contactee I know of, clearly stated that no contact with Earth would happen anytime soon. Just imagine a financial crash, religious upheavals, political backlash.
Oh, yes, wow.
Gorillas. I mean, therefore, anyone claiming to represent a scientific lifestyle and promote spacecraft landings is gravely mistaken. It makes you wonder, if Earth is to be avoided and aliens violated the prime directive by coming here and getting involved, what do those beings really want with us? What do they have to offer?
Fascinating. We're talking with Robert Maxxim, Maxxim, Legacy Series. Go to the website. You'll be fascinated by the past programs, and you can catch those in iTunes as well as YouTube. A listener calling in Fort Wayne, Indiana, emailing once again, fascinated by what Atlantis looked like. We showed some great pictures that you had visuals in a past program. They want to know if you can fully understand and appreciate the technology. And I'll throw in, especially with the scientific background, what were your thoughts as you saw what was available there? Were you able to comprehend all of that?
Yes, I was able to comprehend it at first, generally, but after time, after giving it thought and further attunement, the technological aspect, the information was just overwhelming. I was able to conceive an entire free energy system that was used in Atlantis. I'd say, for the most part, fully redesigned. It is described in Legacy. It is also described on the website, as well as many other scientific principles, which, by the way, use no mathematics, but it's all conceived from rules, dimensional rules that are completely foreign to us.
It's you go to the website because you'll see the visuals there that we're talking about. Robert's website is rgaetan, Gaetan. You can link on directly by our website, thisweekinamerica.us. As you're talking, I'm remembering back to these clear pictures. Everything is neat and organized, pristine as we're looking at these pictures. One final question. We might have touched on this before, and then we'll get to some of the new ones. What is Unarius? And we've had mentioned that several times on programs. What exactly is that, and how can people really tap into that information?
Unarius is an acronym for Universal, Articulate, Interdimensional Understanding of Science. It is an organization of higher masters and avatars that reside on 7 celestial worlds, previously known as Shambhala. And people are probably familiar with that name, Shambhala. But they are devoted to our spiritual evolution. In 1954, Dr. Ernest L. Norman channeled and established the Unarius teachings from Shambhala. And they are uniquely available today at unariusunited.com. These teachings are set to correct at our stage of evolution and prevent negative experiences from repeating after life after life after life of re-effects. It shows the reality of our positive nature and the old mental, physical aberrations, phobias, and reactions that hold back our understanding of infinity. It is that negative state that keeps us from the pulse of infinite creation, the breath of life. But we could say that Unarius is the universal law. It is the teachings that are practiced by all positively bound worlds, Mars, for example, and many other spiritually progressive worlds. This is what they teach. So Dr. Norman brought in the universal principles of life. And yes, they are universal in nature.
And information, and you can do a link there as well at Robert's website, rgaetan, Gaetan.com. New question from a listener in Des Moines. What is the response and reaction of the scientific community? We talked about your scientific background, made you skeptical at first, then you became a believer after you really thoroughly studied this. You talked about getting together with other like-minded individuals with the science technology background. In general, what reaction do you get from the scientific community?
Well, my first day in college, I was taking physics, and I was all gung-ho for class. And day one, first thing that gets put up on the board is Coulomb's law equals Newtonian law. And they used the two to come up with the radius of the atom. And I always pre-read the books, and I remember the Newtonian force equation written differently. So I raised my hand and said, "Teacher, can I go to the board and try something?" I should have never done that. But I did. I went out there and I took Coulomb's law, made it equal to this more advanced equation, put the two together, and the result was, well, before the radius of the atom was computed to be, maybe millionth of a meter. This equation, it made the atom as big as from here to the other end of the Andromeda galaxy.
Wow.
So I told the teacher, "What's wrong with these equations? They should be equal, but they're not." So he said, "Well, have a seat." After class, I was taken to the dean's office, and I was reprimanded like you can't believe.
Wow.
But what I was told was that due to national security and many other somber reasons, we are never told everything that they know. But what they share is not entirely correct with the world. It's a way of controlling the masses and staying in power. So, redshift, atomic science, the universal origins, the Big Bang, all of that should be questioned because it is not really real. Take, for example, the Big Bang, 13.8 billion years ago. Big explosion, galaxies spread out to a distance of 13.8 billion light years away. And they shine a light back our way. Well, it takes 13.8 billion years for that light to get back to us. So really, how old is the universe? It should be 2 times that. So there's a flaw immediately there. There's also a flaw, and you will find this in Legacy as well as on the website, where I take the redshift equation, I tear it apart, I do limit derivative of the equation, and I prove that it doesn't work. So redshift is not about frequency shift, but it's about energy loss. And of course, the further away an object is, the more energy loss there is. So of course you're going to have a redshift because there's less energy, or energy is lost. But again, we have to remember that there's no such thing as space and time. And the rules by which energy moves is really dimensional instead of physical. There are rules to energy that we do not understand. So once again, as in the Dark Ages, we place the Earth in the center of the universe instead of the sun. Well, now we put the sun in the center of the universe, and everything exploded from here out. It didn't happen that way. Infinity is infinity. There is no time, there is no space, and creation is much bigger than anything we could ever imagine. But it starts in dimensions much, much higher than ours.
The time always goes by, and way too quickly. I think it's a plot against us. The time actually is going faster when we're doing these programs. We're talking the Legacy series, Robert Maxxim, Maxxim. Legacy series, 5 episodes. It's basically what Robert talks about on the program, real-life experiences done in book form. And I guarantee you, you pick one of these up, you're not going to be able to put it down until you finish the book. It is very vivid. It is easy to read. It is fascinating. And the website is rgaetan, GAETAN.com. You can go, of course, to Amazon to get information, and you go directly to Robert's website by going to thisweekinamerica.us. One quick question of mine, and then we'll take on one more question from a listener. Do you ever feel intimidated or threatened or look over your shoulder? I mean, you're in college and you're walking to the board the first day of class, displaying knowledge that you really aren't supposed to be displaying. Are there ever times when you feel you may be in some danger?
Well, I made a lot of mistakes in the past. And, of course, living in my past, negatively overwhelmed without really knowing the science of life, I made many mistakes, and I talked to people that I should have never talked to. I learned my lesson. But yes, I had rough goings with organizations. And at this point, I've decided to write these books and go into details in written form, but doing it to a public outlay instead of government.
You know, it's interesting, and you've got the cover. If anybody knocks on your door in the middle of the night, it's like a Legacy series. That's a novel that I wrote. You know, you fall under the. It's like, well, that's not me. I just wrote the book. It's literature. It's my creative output. And then you slam the door in their face and go back to bed. If it's that simple. But what have you matured? I don't want to say mature. As you've gotten older, you've learned maybe to pick your spots.
This is a reactionary world. It is what it is. And a lot of people don't like this world, but this is what we made it. This is what we have established, and this is what we have to deal with. The important thing is that we cannot live in fear. We cannot repress our future. Whatever it is, we have to get out of the norm. We have to learn truth and not be intimidated by the negative forces of this world. We have to grow beyond it. And I had to say enough is enough. I will learn, I will share, and I will progress. And I will not be held back or join the negative forces of this world.
Got about 2 minutes left in the program. This from someone in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I think we've touched on this. Have you had other identities? And I will add, do you know who you've been in the past? Or are there so many that you're not sure?
Yes, I have seen very clearly who I have been, and I have had some help to see others. I don't live to know who I was, but to work out the mistakes I made. I can share that my latest awareness was a gentleman by the name of Alexei Sofronov, and he was Tchaikovsky's valet. And so he served Tchaikovsky for throughout his life. It's just one example. But there's many others, and a lot of them are covered in Legacy.
It's the Legacy series, 5 episodes. It's the future, it's the past, it's everything you want in a book. And as you're reading, it's difficult sometimes to go like, this really happened here. This is this is fact that Robert is dealing with. It's a fascinating series. It's the Legacy series. It's available again at Amazon. It's available at Robert's website, which is rgaetan, RGAETAN.com. And you can link on directly to Robert's website by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us. And if you have questions you'd like to ask Robert in future programs, just go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, do the comment, send it off to us. We've got a few more here that we'll pick up on the next time. The time always goes by so quickly. A fascinating program. Robert, as always, it's great to have you with us on the program. I know you're very, very busy, and thank you for taking the time always to be with us and to be able to share your experiences with the audience of the program. It's much appreciated.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
You're listening to This Week in America. Our guest in the program, Robert Maxxim, Maxxim. We're talking about the Legacy series, and of course, information available by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us.